Okay, Michael, let's get into your paper. Knowledge before the negotiations. America's intelligence community is designed to protect the American people from threats that are generally unknown. The Central Intelligence Agency and the United States Air Force are two members of America's vast intelligence community that concentrate on intelligence. Well, I don't think you need to say they concentrate on intelligence. But I don't know where we're going. Let's find out. To learn more about the Central Intelligence Agency and the Air Force's intelligence, I interviewed an Air Force intelligence officer. Ooh. Read the requirements for a CIA operations officer. Ooh. And found a declassified national intelligence estimate on the future at the time, negotiations with Egypt. I don't think you need it at the time. There were still future negotiations. The research that have I conducted, I'm sure you'll fix that, will show the career of an Air Force intelligence officer, how to work in the CIA's clandestine service, and the results of America's intelligence community in the form of a national intelligence estimate. Recently, I became very curious as to what exactly an Air Force intelligence officer is and what kind of work do they produce. So I think it would be smoother to say I became curious about what an officer is and what an officer does. Right? Make those parallel. We talk about that. They're lined up the same way. So curious about what an intelligence officer is and what an intelligence officer does. To satisfy my curiosity, I talked to one of my cadre officers and was able to arrange a phone call with an intelligence officer currently in the field. Whew, my cadre officer, Major Rapp, real names, provided me with her email so I could get in contact and arrange a meeting with her whenever I was available. Major Rapp gave me the name of the officer, who was Captain Elliott. Later, I was able to get in contact with Captain Elliott, and we had a very interesting conversation about intelligence work in the United States Air Force. It's a lot of detail about how you got in touch with the person, which I'm not feeling like you need, but again, we'll see how it goes forward. Captain Elliott was previously a ballistics officer serving with nuclear missiles before becoming an intelligence officer. Captain Elliott began to walk me through the process of becoming an intelligence officer, starting from the commissioning ceremony, where cadets become first lieutenants in the Air Force. So you have a semicolon there, and you just need a comma, because ceremony, comma, and then you're doing some more explaining about what that ceremony is. So in the same way that I would say I teach English, comma, English 102 and 101, or something like that. Which is about giving examples of the thing that you just mentioned. Upon commissioning and going to your first assignment, there's usually a waiting period. It's like a new paragraph. Upon commissioning and going to your first assignment, there's usually a waiting period before you begin training for your job. Each job is a period of training to prepare for their career. Pilots have flight school, and intelligence officers have intelligence school. Intelligence school lasts for roughly 7.5 weeks. Intelligence school is different than the other Air Force training schools because you are not training with only Air Force officers, but officers from all branches of the military. In intelligence school, officers are taught about the United States intelligence community and how intelligence works, to have a general understanding of the intelligence community's intelligence process. That's a lot of intelligence. So for us in English, for whatever reason, it's just like the fashion of the style. Repeating the same word starts to sound a little bit like weird to us. So I'm sure you could find many ways to refer to it as in this school or, in the community. Find as many ways as possible to avoid saying intelligence community, because we already know that's what you're talking about. The intelligence process is the process of steps that illustrate how intelligence is required, processed, and sent to the policymakers who requested the information. This process also applies to operations intelligence for the Air Force and other branches cooperating. Wait, what process? I'm confused there. Towards the end of intelligence school, officers are taught how to give briefs and are given projects to simulate intelligence briefs. Ooh. Again, seems like a new paragraph, right? Towards the end of intelligence school. I would say that for your purposes, it's usually better to have more paragraphs than you need rather than less, because more paragraphs just, in my opinion, almost always make something easier to read and clearer, and often will help you understand that, like, oh wait, I don't need to talk about this here, because it doesn't fit into one of my smaller paragraphs. Anyway, typically first lieutenants have assignments where they give briefs to pilots before they take off. The pilot briefs could range from a wide variety of pilots. So, I'm confused. The pilot briefs could range from I'm sure you'll fix that. From stealth fighters to transport aircraft, I think, As an officer increases in rank and progress in their career, they can apply for more critical assignments. Contrary to my understanding of the Air Force, I learned that the Air Force does not interact with the CIA due to a different kind of intelligence work they do. Oh, cool. The Air Force specializes. Yeah, contrary to my understanding, seems like a new paragraph too. The Air Force specializes in geospatial intelligence and imagery intelligence. While the Central Intelligence Agency, you can say CIA after you only need to write it out once, specializes in human intelligence. While the Air Force, I'm just laughing about how all this is about human intelligence. Like all education should make people smarter. Okay, sorry. While the Air Force does not have HUMINT available to the usually we say at their disposal. The HUMINT assignments require a great deal of experience to be selected for that assignment. Captains who are in the Air Force for 5 years or more years, I think we just say, 5 or more years, are the ones that are typically selected for this assignment. Throughout an Air Force intelligence officer's career, they can be involved in many different cells, units that specialize in specific areas such as targeting, packaging, providing the best suited kind of weaponry for an aircraft on a mission, strategy, and planning divisions. Trying to figure out why that sounds a little bit awkward to me. Let's see. They can be involved in many different cells. Well, first of all, I think it would be nice to start a new sentence there because the sentence is awfully long and it's hard for me to keep track of where it's going, what it's saying. So maybe something more like they can be involved in many different cells. Those cells include, and then listing them maybe. I've also learned that officers are usually not the ones who are collecting the intelligence, but the ones presenting them to the operators that utilize the intelligence for their missions. The enlisted airmen collect and process the intelligence that prepares the officer for the briefings. The Air Force produces predominantly Air Force-centered intelligence that is imperative to the execution of its mission and national security interests. I'm not sure why you need that last sentence. I feel like that's not really saying anything. The Central Intelligence Agency is an independent agency in the United States intelligence community. The agency is known for its foreign clandestine actions and is the subject of many conspiracy theories. The CIA has many directorates. They have to fulfill specific requirements. Okay, we need something there because we have two sentences just stuck together. The CIA has many directorates. They have to fulfill episode requirements for intelligence collection analysis. The Directorate of Analysis, Directorate of Operations, Directorate of Science and Technology, Directorate of Support, Directorate of Digital Innovations are all the basic components that make up the CIA. This Doctorate of Operations, formerly known as the Clandestine Services, is a position in the CIA that I'm very intrigued and interested in when I researched a career in intelligence. Here's another place I feel like, again, if you just say, I'm very interested in. We know it was when you researched a career in intelligence. Within the Directorate of Operations, there are a few positions that operate under the Directorate of Operations, such as Targeting Officer, Special Operations Officer, Specialized Skills Officer, Paramilitary Operations Officer, Collection Management Officer, Language Officer, and Operations Officer. All of these positions strengthen national security and foreign policy objectives through the clandestine collection of human intelligence and by conducting covert action as directed by the President of the United States. Officers in the Officers in the Directorate of Operations are expected to form relationships using trust and integrity to collect foreign intelligence that is vital to United States national security and decisions for policymakers. Another place, I feel like you're using a lot of words, but I think, this seems like something everybody knows, right? You're supposed to, unless you get more specific about it, with who are they supposed to form relationships with? That would be a new thing to discuss. To collect foreign intelligence. In order to become an operations officer, you must successfully complete a medical exam, polygraph interview, and background investigation. The desired qualifications for a CIA operations officer are to be willing to establish strong relationships, quick problem-solving skills, studying foreign culture, and most importantly, integrity. Integrity is the most important virtue within the intelligence agency. Again, I feel like this should be a new paragraph. Integrity is important so that subjects containing intelligence can easily trust you. Oh, not so that they can trust you, but so you can be trusted by the agency. Ooh, I like that one. That's my favorite sentence so far. The trust the CIA bestows upon their agents and analysts is essential to the operations of the CIA and the intelligence community as a whole. Upon entering such a community and an organization, you're given different... Whoa, okay, this seems like a new paragraph too. Upon entering such a community and organization, you're given different levels of clearances for compartmentalization purposes. I don't know what that means. The first, maybe you're about to tell me, the 3 levels of classification for clearances are confidential, secret, and top secret. by being accepted into a department or agency. In the United States intelligence community, we're being trusted with our nation's secrets. The secrets of America's clandestine activities, defense capabilities, and national interests, security interests are trusted with the individuals who choose, I think you want to say choose, to serve their country in secret. After I learned about the Air Force Intelligence, the Director of Operations, and the CIA, I was, again, you can say CIA. I was able to come across the intelligence community's product of collection and deep analysis. The sole purpose of the intelligence community is to provide intelligence that is... Okay, you've said that several times, and I'm sorry, you don't need to say it again. The intelligence community provides a national intelligence estimate that updates the policymaker on the information the intelligence community has uncovered in that world. I was able to find a national intelligence estimate published on March 25th, 1953 about the probable developments of Egypt. Oh, the most interesting part... Seems like a new paragraph. The most interesting part about the document was that on the cover and the second page, the officials that were meant to receive this information were already listed. This document was only allowed to go to the White House, National Security Council, Department of State and Defense, the FBI, and a few other intelligence departments within the community. The National Intelligence Estimate is designed in a unique way to organize the document from start to finish. This is done by separating... Ooh, this feels like a new paragraph again. How it's organized. This is done by separating the information into two sections, the conclusion and the discussion. The National Intelligence Estimate begins with the conclusions of the document. The conclusions are the facts that have been confirmed through intelligence and general knowledge. Yeah, I mean, maybe just through intelligence, because they're not going to put things that are general knowledge on there, are they? In the document, it states that Egypt is of major importance to Western security interests because Western access to its territory is essential for effective defense of the Middle East. As the introduction of the estimate... Wait, what? As the introduction of the estimate to establish the importance of Egypt. You know how to fix that, I bet. But it got a little... I think the last part doesn't fit with the first part. The discussion section of the National Intelligence Estimate covers the different elements of Egypt that intelligence has been collected on. Discussion covers the different elements. Another sentence I'm not sure is really saying anything. I mean, everything has different elements in it. The National Intelligence, many things. The National Intelligence Estimate covers all the elements of the country, such as their politics, economics, foreign policy, military, and probable developments. Nice details here. You don't need to define probable developments, though. I mean, you know what that means. The final part of the document's discussion section is the planning and advising for future negotiations with that country. This particular estimate reflects on previous negotiations that involved the UK and the US that could influence the impending negotiation with Egypt, including the analysis of the previous negotiations that US has taken part in regarding Egypt. The National Intelligence Estimate also takes into account the possibilities of negotiating, succeeding, or breaking down. That sentence confuses me too. Needs a little... I feel like you have a thing where sometimes you begin your sentence and you have good control over sophisticated sentence patterns and everything, but sometimes you begin a sentence and then it ends up going a place that you didn't expect, maybe, which is just a revision thing that all writers have to do. The U.S. intelligence community is very thorough in collecting and analyzing intelligence for U.S. negotiations. And your other issue overall is just that you have some sentences that I'm like, these are things that, when we're speaking of general knowledge, these are things that everyone, your average American would know. That the intelligence community collects and analyzes things, and they try to be thorough. I mean, of course they do. At least they say they do, right? This is imperative for our national interest that we are allowed to make the best policy decisions by having a well-rounded understanding of the world around us. The U.S. Air Force and Central NCIA, along with other entities of the United States intelligence community, operate for the betterment of our nation. Captain Elliott explained the process of becoming in the different assignments, the CIA's website, blah, blah, the United States. Okay, what I'd love to see in your conclusion, as I'm about to run out of time, is you talking about what overlap you found in these different things. Why do you think that form that you looked at from the CIA is set up that way? Some more analysis about that. But lots of interesting stuff, as usual. Thank you.